And now I'll be presenting a few varieties from Syngenta. These two varieties right here are from the Sweet and Neat series. Right here we have Sweet and Neat Scarlet. Sweet and Neat Scarlet produces these beautiful red fruits that are just slightly bigger than a cherry tomato. Sweet and Neat Yellow produces the same size fruit as Sweet and Neat Scarlet, but the fruits are yellow. These two are very appropriate for indoor gardening in a hydroponic system or in a pot with substrate due to their compact size. Right here, you'll see the plants that I've grown indoors, and over here, you'll see the plants grown in the greenhouse. Over here, we have Totem. As you can see, Totem is in different size pots. The reason for that is because originally I grew this one in a greenhouse in an 8-inch container. However, it became a little too big and had to be transplanted into something bigger. Indoors, it behaves a lot differently. Indoors, it maintains a compact growth habit. And something that I really love about this plant is the fact that unlike other compact plants, this one actually produces pretty big sized fruit. So you can chop these up and put it in a sandwich or even in a salad. Over here, we have pear drops. Pear drops was originally grown in a greenhouse in an 8-inch pot, but later on had to be transplanted into something bigger. Over here, pear drops is more compact because this one is grown indoors. It behaves very differently depending on its environment. Something very unique about pear drops is its actual pear drop shaped fruit, and it's yellow. Pear drops, whether it's grown indoors or in the greenhouse, maintains its trailing growth habit. It would be perfect for a hanging basket. Over here, we have Red Perfusion. I really like how Red Perfusion, its size complements the pot that I originally put it in. Originally, this is the pot that I transplanted in because it was advertised as a larger plant. Although we don't see too many ripe fruit, it's still producing flowers, so it has the potential to be very productive.
Now we'll be highlighting 5 Syngenta pepper cultivars. We're going to start with Basket of Fire, which, as you can see, it's another one of those unique cultivars that produces a lot of very colorful fruit. With this particular cultivar, we start seeing this pale yellow color on the fruit that will eventually turn into a red, purple or red color. It's another hot pepper. All of these cultivars are hot peppers from Syngenta. And it produces these very small leaves, this very skinny, nice looking fruits that point outwards from the plant. So they're very visible. For all of these plants, we saw large differences between the greenhouse plants and those indoors. The indoor plants produce this nice ball-shaped across the different cultivars, whereas the greenhouse-grown plants were a little bit taller and had a lot more branches to them. With this particular cultivar, Basket of Fire, again, one of those cultivars that when it's just producing flowers, it's also very pretty because you see a lot of beautiful white flowers on the plant, and then eventually when you start seeing some fruit, it also makes for an attractive plant. Now we have Cheyenne, another unique cultivar in the sense that it produces this very bright orange fruit on the plants once it starts ripening, and we can see in the greenhouse grown plant just some color. So it's one of those cultivars that's starting to change color right now. As I mentioned, in the greenhouse we had more branchy plants that require a little bit more support to avoid some branching breakage. Now we have Apache. Apache produces red fruit. So it's a very hot pepper, but it produces lots of fruit on the plant. Again, the plants grown in the greenhouse were slightly bigger, whereas those indoors were more compact. And now we have Alter Ego, another one of those very high-yielding cultivars that produces this mid-size or snack-sized fruit that when they mature, they will become a very bright red color. We can see some coloration in the indoor plant right now. And it produces this smaller, compact growth indoors than in the greenhouse. And similar to other peppers we've seen, It has this upright facing fruit on the plant, which again makes it very attractive and easy to identify where the fruits are on the plants.
And now I'm going to highlight just a few cucumber cultivars from Syngenta. Over here, we have Petty Pickle. Petty Pickle was transplanted almost 30 days ago, and you can already see its growth. However, unlike the other cucumbers that we highlighted from another breeder, we do not have any fruits yet. But it does have a ton of flowers, so it has a ton of potential to be very productive. And the same can be said about Petty Q. And one thing I really like about the cucumber species in general is how they have these little tendrils. So given the right resources, these little tendrils can just attach to whatever trellis that you'd like to use for your system. I think this is something that is very attractive to a consumer because it's less of a hassle to try to support them, unlike other species.
Perfect. And so now I'm going to introduce our last speaker, Jeannine Bogard from Syngenta. She is the business lead for Vegetalis, the home and garden vegetable program at Syngenta Flowers. She has been managing the program since its inception in 2012, and as a horticulturist with a degree in vegetable science from Michigan State University, she is living her dream job, trialing, conducting taste tests, and marketing and assisting both professionals and gardeners to be successful with growing and harvesting vegetables. And she can't wait to get into the field and her own garden again this season. So welcome, Jeannine.
Okay, I'm Jeannine Bogard with Syngenta Flowers, and I represent the Vegetalis program. And so Vegetalis, a lot of you may remember it from the past as being with Florinova, and we acquired Florinova about 2 years ago. And we really liked the name Vegetalis, and we decided that we would keep that as our overarching brand for the program I was already running that I was referring to as Home Garden Vegetables. And so with that, we now have what I call the more traditional vegetables that Syngenta Vegetables was providing to me. And then we have the Florinova vegetables. So we have a very robust program now. And you can see in my little table of contents from my catalog that we have everything from tomatoes, peppers, pumpkins, squash, corn, you name it, melons, okra, peas. We pretty much have a very nice, robust program, specifically I've curated it for the home garden market. When I was out in the field last year looking at the blending of these two programs, I was like, ooh, we got some differences in product specs here with this. And so what I've decided to do is that I'm going to segment my assortment into what I call traditional garden and small space garden. And I know the term patio edibles has been very popular over time, but with the new consumer coming into gardening for the first time, I'm afraid that if we just call them patio edibles, that they will say, I don't have a patio, and not think about other applications for these vegetables in their garden space. So I prefer to refer to them as small space. These are varieties with smaller plant habits that would fit into more of an urban garden situation. So the traditional garden varieties would be more of my traditional determinate tomatoes, indeterminate tomatoes, big blocky peppers, melons, cantaloupes, things along those lines. So more things that everybody wants in their garden, but they may not necessarily have space for their garden. So with that would be the small space vegetables, which would fit into more of those restricted growing situations, the 4x8 raised beds, patio, balcony, things along those lines. So I have a full range of products for these. I do want to comment that I have been trialing extensively over the last 12 years with our vegetable program. Initially, I started with the traditional vegetables because growers visiting me would say, well, how small of a container can I get away with? So I started the How Small Can You Grow trial. And what I was looking for was that breaking point where I saw a difference between performance in the field and the smaller containers. And so with my traditional product originally from Syngenta Vegetables, my determinate tomatoes easily got down to a 12-inch pot, sometimes even down to a 10, depending on the plant habit. Well, then I got the Florinova genetics, and then I was able to take it down even to smaller containers. So I was going down to a trade 1 gallon container, finding out where that breaking point was in performance. And I did have some surprises, and then I did have some very happy surprises, let's put it that way. Okra and eggplant, oh my God, I was just really shocked at how small of a container you could actually take down to. Tomatoes and the peppers pretty much performed, didn't matter whether it was a traditional variety or a small space varieties, they did very well and adapted naturally to the smaller container sizes. So if you're ever out in Gilroy, California in the summer months, I highly recommend that you come and visit me and take you through the trials. In my catalog this season, I have added a bunch of information here specifically for the bedding plant growers, because I was getting a lot of questions from them. And so I do have an added glance at the back of the catalog that tells you, I put in plug crop time, maturity dates, recommended container sizes. So if you want to put it into packs or small pots, gallons, cage programs, anyway, I'm providing you more information and guidance as to where you can put our products within your own programs. And also within the sections of the catalog, I'm calling out container recommendations again for retail programs and what's the appropriate containers that you can put these products into. If you have any doubt, always give me a call. Online, we have posted some decision trees. We released these at our webcast earlier this season. And because the main questions I'm getting right now are, what can I put in a basket program, a cage program, and a petite patio program? And so with these decision trees, it'll help you zero in really quickly as to what varieties are appropriate. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the foodie crowd who want to know, what do I do with these products, these tomatoes or these peppers, and how do I appeal to these different audiences coming into my garden centers looking for, I want that big burger size slicer, or I want something for the salsa, I want a snacking tomato. I'm able to give you direction for that through the decision trees. Okay. In the presentation, the video presentation, pear drops, which happens to be my favorite of the smaller snacking type tomatoes, it really is a trailing type habit along with red profusion. They're really ideal for basket programs. Great flavors on them. Sweet and neat. What's really cool about these varieties is I trial them both in containers and in ground. And even though they look fantastic in containers, do not discount them for in-ground planting either. They do really good for small space gardening out there. The flavor on these are really, really nice. And flavor, talking about flavor, is very important for me when I'm looking at varieties, and especially coming out of the commercial area, is because not all commercially bred varieties are appropriate, or they're not bred for flavor, let's just put it that way. So I'm very selective on that. In my traditional, more traditional types, I do have some really great varieties that do great for cage programs. And I do stress, never underestimate the value of a high quality cage if you're going into a cage program. I do have some regular traditional type garden varieties. These are full-size beefsteaks. They're wonderful, have great flavor on them, and they do fit really nice down into maybe a 10 or a 12-inch program. And then I always want to mention my top seller, because people want to know what's the top seller, and that is Super Sweet 100. It's been around for many, many years, and the 100 refers to the row number when it was being developed. It was the sweet one in row 100. It has nothing to do with the number of fruit on the plant. In peppers, we have a decision tree also. Again, basket programs and cage programs are the two that come up. We have a nice assortment of sweet and hot varieties that fit into both programs. And then on the culinary side, people want to know how hot is hot. And so we do have a nice little scale here for you can compare it to familiar varieties out in the marketplace. The lower end down here with our jalapenos and our cayenne types are more popular because American palates tend to not like too much heat. If you get more into some of your ethnic cooking styles, these hot types will be very attractive for that audience. In the small space, these hot peppers make wonderful salsas. I don't want to discount that. We talk about the beautiful habits and how easy they are to the grower, but we also have to have a connection with the belly and keep that in mind when you're picking your varieties, that what type of demographic are you selling into in your particular region, because that will help you determine how hot or spicy or sweet that you want to go with your particular varieties. Basket of Fire is my best seller in my hot, because it's such a beautiful habit to it, and it also has all the different colors on the fruit, so it's very ornamental and it's very interesting for making salsas with. Okay, sweet peppers. Sweet peppers hands down sell more than hot peppers. Everybody wants to have a good cooking variety. Liberty Bell makes a beautiful cage program. It's a nice sized bell pepper, blocky bell pepper. And then we have some novelty types with the red skin and the Mohawk. Mohawk does very well as a hanging basket item also. And then I just like to throw this one in, Cubanelle. This is Aruba. It's my favorite of all their sweet peppers out there. It does produce a very long pepper, and it's sweet, but the abundance of fruit that it puts on it, it will make everybody feel like a rock star if you have it in your garden. So it's a nice one to have. We also have a whole assortment of other items in there. I just quickly want to point out the basil. We have the Floral Spires White in lavender. This is one plant, one seed per plug. The thing is very prolific. What's really cool about these basils is that the flowers are edible too, and they taste just like the leaves. So it kind of gives you another element, especially if you're cooking or in a presentation in a salad, things along those lines. You can throw those flowers in also. We did talk briefly about the cucumbers, the eggplants. This was my surprise last season, or 2019, last time I was in a field trial. These things they actually pumped out more fruit in the container trial than they did in the in-ground trial, which was very surprising. And they just kept going all season long. And they're about the size of a large egg, but and really nice flavor on them. Very prolific. And okra was another surprise also. And if you're looking for something a little bit different, these do come in the different colors. In the field, they got no taller than my knees, which is very nice. In the container, and this is here in my trial over here with the green fingers, very compact. This is in a 8-inch pot. So something to consider for okra. And then another item for cool season would be kale. This is my AAS winner, fantastic in a container program. And kale is very popular still, and it just keeps on going. So, but we do have something for everybody in the program. And if you want more information, feel free to give me a holler. You can call me on my direct line, or you can also go to our website, download our flipping catalog with the new information. And then the decision trees are also posted on our webcast site. So anyway, I'll turn it back over to Celina. Thank you very much.